This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. If you didn't see my previous video on the 80-foot waves that were appearing on radars that, of course, were being either dismissed or just completely blown into some type of conspiracy. Of course, the conspiracy would have nothing to do with the government being able to actually create 80-foot waves and use things like HAARP or CERN or you name it to generate wind that could create an 80-foot wave. But the stories that have come out since then are so funny, I have to do a video on it, including what Fox News was stirring up, because of course Fox News plays into the conspiracy theorist out there, but of course that's the quote-unquote baby truther who isn't able to grasp that Fox News is completely controlled media. So listen to this story that came out. This is from physics.org, phys.org. Giant rogue waves. That's right, rogue waves. So I guess it's fitting since the governments around the earth have gone completely rogue and turned completely on their civilians. It makes sense that the waves themselves would also go rogue, right? Giant rogue waves. Southern Ocean Expedition reveals wind as the key cause. Wow, thank goodness we have scientists. A University of Melbourne expedition to the southernmost waters encircling Antarctica has discovered that wind drives the formation of colossal rogue waves, and that these unpredictable waves occur more frequently than scientists had previously thought, providing critical information to inform future rogue wave prediction models. This isn't fake news, folks. This is phys.org. This is a website that people go to for physics, for news on astronomers, for news on general physics. And of course, we could look at all this and say, well, if this is the type of information that they're giving out, then of course this is nothing more than a website that gives out misinformation on physics and science, like all science is, make-believe. So thankfully, this article says, the scientists are giving us critical information to inform us about future rogue waves. That way, if we see more bizarre weather anomalies on radars, we could just dismiss it as, well, it just got windy out to sea. You know, when you see 80-foot waves, don't be suspicious about it. We won't mention the fact that the government has the capability to wipe out entire coasts by creating such a strong wind that the waves could be even larger than 80 feet, and they could wipe out somewhere like, I don't know, New York. But let me continue. A rogue wave is a single swell that is much higher than nearby waves, which can damage ships or coastal infrastructure. Ocean waves are among the most powerful natural forces on Earth, and as global trends suggest, ocean winds will blow harder because, of course, of climate change. So the ocean winds are blowing harder because of climate change, and thankfully we have professors, scientists, doctors, and all the experts out there to let us know that the cause of that massive anomaly on the radar system was nothing more than just some random acts of wind, and anything else, of course, is a conspiracy theory. Now, let me pick up on Fox News because, of course, they're playing into the conspiracy of it, saying that it's very suspicious, but they don't want you to think that it's weaponized weather either, because they don't want their audience to realize that that actually exists, that the government who has shown us that they've gone rogue has the capabilities of doing this, and, of course, how they're going to blame it all on climate change. And that's why they're programming you with climate change. And again, for anybody out there that thinks the Republicans aren't compromised, they call the climate agenda the climate cult. Okay, that gives credibility to the whole notion of climate change by calling them a climate cult, saying they're overly obsessed with it. They don't expose or call out the fact that the government themselves are using weaponized weather on the civilians, which is why we're seeing tornadoes increased 100%. We're seeing hurricanes increase 1,000%. We're seeing almost every single country getting earthquakes at record paces, amount of people being killed in places like Turkey. They just want you to ignore it and blame it on the climate. And that's why they can wipe people out with direct energy weapons and blame it on wildfires. So Fox News has, of course, picked up on this. And just like typical Fox News, what you would expect is they say the African weather system generating rumors of UFOs and 80-foot waves blamed on software error. And then they go, But of course, what they're trying to do is sell you on the fact that the government is hiding UFOs and aliens from you. They don't want to come out and tell their Christian audience about Aleister Crowley and his teachings about demons being renamed into aliens in the future so that they could dupe the entire world into believing in a fake alien invasion and Project Bluebeam and all these other things that the government has in place. So they go on to say that alien and conspiracy theorists showed up in full force last week after a weather modeling software error showed an anomaly the size of Texas moving up the African coastline while generating waves bigger than 80 feet. Last week, the application that was used to see this massive anomaly showed a cluster of waves reaching over 80 feet in height and spanning a distance wider than the state of Texas, moving up from Antarctica and toward the coast of Africa for about 24 hours before disappearing. Video of the weather pattern got the rumor mill going, with people claiming it was anything from a massive underwater sea creature like the Loch Ness Monster to a spaceship under the sea. They then go on to share a post that somebody put up on Twitter, which says, as bizarre as some of the footage you're about to see is in this video, it's all real. These are real life encounters of something the viewer saw, recorded, and was unable to identify. By Sunday afternoon, the video had been seen 80,000 times. Quote, everyone knows Godzilla comes from the sea, one user wrote. Another said, okay, who released the Kraken? Other followers said the mysterious matter could be H.P. Lovecraft's, or even linked the blob to a giant sea creature awoken by April 8th's solar eclipse. Now, the reality of the matter is, Fox News is spinning it this way to make a mockery of something that is legitimately and should be concerning to anybody out there. To anybody out there that sees things that are anomalies, things that don't seem like they fit in or don't seem natural, a light bulb should go off and you should say to yourself, wait a minute. What is that? Does the government have the capability to do something like that? Does the government have the capability? Because I'm concerned that I saw this. Should I be concerned if I live on a coast? But instead, what they want you to be concerned about is thinking it's a government planted story, like something about UFOs, or they want you to think that it's climate change and the wind just started sweeping up, or maybe Loch Ness Monster. But the reality of the matter is, this is controlled media and how it works. Now, I know everybody who listens to my channel is well aware of Fox News being controlled. It's very, very, obviously at this point, if you're still listening to me, you're fully aware of this. I don't think anybody who listens to my channel listens to Fox News. However, I do know that there are people who stumble upon my channel, who do listen to Fox News, who listen to Tucker Carlson, who think that these people are actually truthers or what was once considered a truther, who are going against what the government wants. They're going against communism. That is all a ruse. And that is why stories like this come out. Fox News picks up on this story so that they can put these types of seeds out there. Every single story regarding this ocean wave anomaly and the fact it's being told to us that it's a software error, and the fact that they're saying numerous reports of UFOs or Atlanteans are launching from the ocean, really just shows us where we're at as a society, where people are willing to believe in aliens and UFOs underwater. And I'm not saying that the government doesn't have the technology to fake UFOs and do those things, because we know that they do. But the fact that you're willing to believe that there's flying men out in space that aren't demons, that they're actually aliens living on other planets, yet you don't question the government's capabilities of creating this type of technology to mislead us and to deceive us into things that they're going to do in the future. We know about the plans of Project Bluebeam. We know about fake alien invasions. They've only been programming us with it for the last 100 years. Nobody thinks back in the 1500s, the 1400s. You think this was common fodder, that people were talking about people showing up on spaceships from other planets? Do people believe in any of this nonsense? Of course not. We all just think about our everyday life, and we all think about the stuff that's happening now, and don't think about how people used to live and how all the stuff that they've taught us to believe as far as science and all this stuff goes couldn't be a bigger fairy tale. The history of this planet couldn't be a bigger fairy tale. The science they push couldn't be a bigger fairy tale. And the truth, and the only truth that lives in this world, is the Bible and God's word. And all these things that they do can be discredited by the Bible, which is why they want you to run away from the Bible and turn to them, because they don't have good plans and good intentions for you. So I'm going off track, but I had to just do a video on it, because when you see the University of Melbourne coming out and telling us that it's just rogue waves, and people out there will just see that and they'll go, Oh, hey, I heard this guy ranting about the waves, saying it was HARP or saying it was some type of weaponized weather. It was just giant rogue waves. Wind happens, climate change happens. Could you think of a dumber person who actually repeats those things, that repeats these things that they're telling us, that are so dismissive and they're just so repetitive that they could just label climate change with everything and these people automatically believe it and they don't realize that the government created climate change so they could get away with murdering people with weaponized weather? That's what it's there for. And then to eventually enslave you because of the weather. Because they're going to use all of this chaos they cause with weather to convince you that we all need to stay indoors, we all need to do less outside, we all need to limit our carbon footprint so that we could all have future generations and we could all live longer, and then there won't be any more storms. So in other words, the government's saying, compromise, okay? Don't go outside anymore, don't eat meat anymore, don't do anything that'll make you mentally healthy or physically healthy, okay? And in return, we won't hit you with tornado after tornado after tornado. We won't hit you with hurricanes anymore. We'll be relentless as long as you imprison yourself, because that's ultimately what this is. But people out there will see this and they'll go, it's just a giant rogue wave. Nothing to be suspicious about at all. And if you ask questions, you're just a conspiracy nut job. And if you believe that it's anything other than the Loch Ness Monster, a UFO, or the Blair Witch, well, then you obviously are a conspiracy nut job, because the government doesn't have the capability, despite every patent we could possibly imagine. I mean, there are hundreds of patents about manipulating and controlling the weather that the government has. You can go back to speeches from JFK talking about weaponized weather. So I would assume being able to start up some wind and do practice runs out in the ocean wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But again, what do I know? I'm just a conspiracy theorist who continues to get silenced month in and month out, because I don't re-preach the alt-right media's garbage. I don't preach Fox News. I don't push a left-right paradigm. I tell you the way it is. There's a bunch of psychopaths who have the ability to manipulate the weather, who are sicker than any serial killer you've ever studied or heard of, sicker than any dictator or tyrant you've heard of in human history, all of whom are in positions of power, influence, and can control what you can and cannot hear. This is obviously something that should be concerning to people about these rogue waves, because they're not really rogue. Something is coming eventually. And when it comes, people will already be programmed to blame it on the climate. But when it does happen, just remember, it's not the climate. It's your own government who's responsible. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.